Stress management. This is something that so many parents told us that they needed help with. The kinds of surveys we got made it feel like parents spent a lot of their time just like yanking their hair out and kind of dealing with stressful situations all the time. This picture kind of makes it look pretty terrible, but I think like, in fact, it's even more insidious sometimes the way stress plays out, because a lot of the stress that we have is partly the day-to-day, but it's also kind of what's going on with our self-talk and so on. And so here's some of the kind of example responses we got from parents in our big survey. So here's one. I feel like I'm always serving others, my job, my child, my spouse, without having anything left for myself. The stress from trying to manage my child's behavior and discipline effectively without support adds to this burden. Seeing lots of smiles, like sad smiles and nods in the room, okay? Here's another one we saw. The constant pressure to be the perfect parent is overwhelming and stressful. I'm always worried about making mistakes and not being good enough. Seeing a lot of like healthy nods out there too. Yeah, this worry about being perfect and the overwhelm that it comes with is something that parents experience across the roles that they have to balance, right? Because you feel that as a parent, both in terms of making sure your kids are getting the right academic tutoring and kind of doing well in school, getting the right kinds of discipline, getting the right support. You're also feeling that kind of stress to be perfect on the job. We hear from parents, right, that like there are different kinds of pressures that come from the career side of your life, which is all the same important, but also comes with all the stresses that folks are facing. There are other kinds of stresses of dealing with things like finances and so on. And so many parents are feeling squished because the kind of stress they're feeling is not just caring for their young kids, but in modern American society, it's often dealing with older relatives who are also needing care and things, and that kind of stress can be overwhelming. And this is the sort of thing that led the Surgeon General to put out his famous report, basically saying that parental stress is a significant health issue. And just to kind of go through some stats, he finds that around a third of parents report the highest levels of stress possible. So I give you a scale, it's like, where does your stress level fall? And a third of parents are saying it's the highest level of stress possible, unsustainable, right? And this is significantly higher than non-parent adults also report. In addition, many parents are saying this level of stress that they're functioning under is just like too much to deal. So over 40% of parents say that they're too stressed to function most days. Again, this is like double the rate of adults who are non-parents. He thought this was bad enough that this is a significant health crisis, and one where we really need to not just fix overall parental mental health, but specifically tackle parental stress, right? Because that would do a lot of the work if we could figure out strategies to deal with that. But to do that, I think we have to ask ourselves a question, which is, what is stress? Kind of how does it work? If we want to fix it, we kind of need to define it and know what it is. So this is where we're going to get a little bit nerdy. We're going to go back to like a little high school biology and look at what stress is and how it works, because that's going to give us some interesting ways to kind of hack into it and fix it. So what is stress? We give this definition. Stress, while we think of it as a sort of boogeyman type thing, it's really just our natural physiological and psychological response to internal or external stressors. So let's break that down. Stress has a physiological response, it's doing something important in our body. Has a psychological response, it feels like something, often not good, although we'll talk about strategies to make that better. And that is in response to both internal stressors, right? You're experiencing biological changes that cause you to have these physiological and psychological responses, and it's due to external stressors, right? Those things that are happening outside the world. Those internal stressors can also be our thought patterns and our self-talk. Often it's one of the biggest internal stressors we have, right? So that's stress. But I think to really dig into what that definition means, we need to understand a little bit more about our autonomic nervous system. Here's what we do, teeny bit of biology, right? You can't come to the Yale class and not get a little bit of biology. What is our autonomic nervous system? Well, it is the part of our nervous system that regulates all the body systems that are out of our voluntary control. So we have our motor system. If I want to like reach over and grab my phone, which is on this desk right here, that's all voluntary, right? There's a part of my nervous system that does that. The autonomic nervous system just kind of goes on without you noticing. It's sort of really under the hood. It's regulating all the stuff that you kind of need to get through the day. Your breath, your digestion, how you're shifting energy around depending on your energetic needs and stuff like that. You usually don't think about it, but it's actually doing a lot of work that matters. And it's surprisingly smart. And it's in some ways evolved to really help you out, even though in the modern world, we put it in situations where it goes a little bit haywire. That's the autonomic nervous system. And importantly, it's made up of two different parts. There's kind of a gas pedal of the autonomic nervous system and the brakes, right? The gas pedal is what you might have heard of as the fight or flight system. In biology, it's often called the sympathetic nervous system. That's what happens when you're experiencing these stressors, internal and external. What happens is your pupils expand, your breath goes out, your heart starts pumping, your gut just shuts off because you just got to do something else. This is the system that should be there if a tiger popped out, into this auditorium right now and went after you. You'd need something to shut off digestion. You can do that later. Just run and get out and have attention, right? Or fight or run away, right? That's the fight or flight system, the so-called sympathetic nervous system. That's the gas pedal. It says energy right now. But you also have the brakes. And that is what is colloquially known as the rest and digest system, or in the biology terms, the parasympathetic nervous system. When that system is active, your pupils shrink down, you can kind of slow your breath, your heart slows down, and you go back to normal rest and digest stuff. That's what you need to digest food or get back to sleep or have good sexual functioning and so on. It's the normal processes of your body turn back on. This is a great system in theory, right? I mean, it's like the way our car runs. There's a gas and there's a brake. When you need to speed up and, cut someone off on the highway or something, you can do that fast. But then when you need to brake and slow down, you can do that, right? The problem is that this system was built for those kinds of things. You want to rev up really fast sometimes and then slow back down. It's meant to be a system that we turn on for short-term threats and then we shut off. What do I mean about short-term threat? Again, modern world, boom. If you saw this, you'd want to fight or flee or something bad, or maybe more evolutionary stress or something like this, right? This is also for social stressors. If someone was angry at you or you were getting rejected, right? This is moments that happen that are meant to be short-term. You turn on the system, you have the energy to deal with it, and you back off, right? The problem with our modern day, though, is that we don't tend to turn the system off and shut it off. We also don't tend to turn it on for big bursts, like that, snake jumping out at you doesn't happen all the time. Instead, we turn our system on for long-term stressors, things that are happening all the time, continuously, and usually ones that are a little bit more low grade. It's not life and death, but it can kind of feel like life and death in our brain, right? Think about, I know we're in Chicago today and we're having this talk, so I'll throw the kind of daily traffic, right? Every day, it's you turn it on every single day for this. Work stresses that aren't just that one quarterly report that's scary, just the low grade stuff that's happening all the time, right? What does this mean? It means two things. One is we're kind of running that fight or flight system constantly, low grade. That means we're not digesting or sleeping well, or we're kind of running this energetic system so high that it leads to things like inflammation and so on in the body. It's not meant to be kind of on constantly. It was meant to turn on and shut off. So we're running it all the time, low grade, and we never have moments to shut it off. And this leads to lots of physiological problems, but also lots of psychological problems. Because the problem with running this kind of fight or flight system all the time is that in addition to the normal stresses, the external stresses of everyday life that tend to do that for us, we also sort of do that for ourselves with our self-talk, right? Think about your stresses from work or maybe even traffic, right? You get out of traffic and you come home and you're making dinner and the traffic is still with you because you're that guy who cut me off, and you're cooking and it's days later, but because we can keep those external stressors alive in our brains, we sometimes run the system even more profoundly than we normally would. And so this isn't what the system was designed for. It was a smart system that was supposed to help us, gas and brakes, but we kind of are always in medium gear all the time, and we never exert the brakes, which was not what our body was invented for. And so as we think about how we can deal with stress, we need to figure out, well, how do we deal with these long-term stressors, our reactions to those, especially the sort of internal processes that we tend to turn on to kind of navigate the external stressors in life. If we can figure that out, then we might be able to bring the system back, the system that was nicely designed to help us, that's kind of going a little off kilter. We can bring it back on track and help our psychology and our bodies.